Your biggest fear moving forward? Obviously, there's been a lot of success now, but is there something in the back of your mind that you're curious about, that maybe a little fearful about as you move forward with this?
Yeah, I think that, well, I think any organization at our stage, you don't want to be a flash in the pan. You don't want to, I mean, I told you, the ambition is to be something that lasts 100 years. It'll be sad if we don't last 3 years, right? So our main thing is, like, let's just make sure that we are continuing to drive value, that we don't get caught up in these other things, that I don't make the focus of me just going on TV and talking about education reform and becoming a policy person or something like that. So I think where we are right now, we're at this kind of inflection point. I think our main goal is to always just, put the blinders on, stay focused on really what got us to this point, which is really the end student, and making sure that we continue to add value for that student, and then the people who want to empower them, their parents and their teachers.
In the Bay Area here, a lot of us are familiar with school districts that aren't as successful, whether it's in East Oakland or in East Palo Alto. Are you going to try to target specific types of areas demographically, perhaps?
Yeah, and we are focused mainly on the Bay Area. We're looking all over the country and actually the world. We're going a few international schools. But what we're looking to do, Los Altos is obviously not a community in need. But what was really good about Los Altos, although two of the 7th grade classes we did were actually slower tracked kids, and they've actually been doing tremendous. It's actually, they've shown even more profound results. Even Los Altos isn't all uniformly fluent and well-heeled. But what we're looking to do is other use cases, less well-heeled neighborhoods, charter schools, private schools, public schools, all of the above. But the one theme that we do want in all these schools is that there's buy-in. That it's not just the mayor or the superintendent who's forcing it down, that the mayor, the superintendent, the principals, the teachers, and the parents all really, really, really want this. Because, about the flash in the pan, I think our biggest risk is, some school kind of halfway implements it, and then it's a disaster, and then, everyone points at that and says, look, it doesn't work. And I think that, that would be a disaster not just for us, but I think for the whole idea behind it, which I think has a lot of power. So our goal over the next 10 to 15 school districts is just to make sure that they're unambiguous successes like Los Altos.
What about you for the actual content of it? I mean, like any teacher, and you are a teacher, you have to stay fresh and current and even continue to learn about your own topics. How do you do that? Is that part of your day?
Oh yeah, no, there's some stuff that I know, by virtue of my background, but there's some stuff like organic chemistry, right? I took it and I did all right in the class when I took it in college, but a lot of people are asking for organic chemistry. It's like one of these core classes. Every pre-med and a lot of science majors take this. And there's actually no organic chemistry videos on the web. They're not even bad ones out there. And and so I said, I need to learn organic chemistry. But the one thing that I emphasize is I don't want to teach something unless I'm excited about it. I mean, we've all experienced a teacher at the front of the classroom who's like, the next step in the process is that, and you're like, if he doesn't give a damn, why should I? So I won't do a video unless I'm excited about it. And the first day of studying organic chemistry, I was not that excited about it. But actually, once I immersed myself and really started thinking about it and really started drawing the intuition, it started to get exciting. So I kind of immerse myself in subjects that I don't know. I'll call up buddies that I think might be able to connect some dots for me. And then once I feel like I have a holistic picture, then I'll just start recording. And I force a smile on my face and I do it. But hopefully it shows up in the videos.
Well, like so many people here, we saw Vinod Khosla here last night and talking about just taking a risk, going against the grain, going against the analysts that tell you one thing. You obviously are doing that. What's the spirit? What was the, I don't know about pushback, but when you tell your Indian parents, oh, I'm leaving this hedge fund and my MIT and Harvard education, and I'm going to do this thing on YouTube. Was it, Bete, what are you doing?
Oh yeah, no, I mean it's funny because when my wife is she's finishing up her fellowship at Stanford right now, but when I first told people that, especially at Desi parties, that I had, oh, what do you do? I make videos on YouTube. And I've actually heard this, that when they hear I've heard them, well, at least his wife's is a doctor.
Yes. It's interesting though, right?
No, yeah, no. Thank God my wife's a doctor. But it's although a resident, she wasn't making the. But anyway, it's the day after I mean, my mother's very supportive of it now. But the day after I officially had quit, and I actually did not consult my mother, not like a good Desi son, but my mother called my wife and my mother-in-law and said, what? How did you let him do this? And, you know, but no, everyone's really pumped about it now.
As you look around in this room now, is there something that, a message that you would want to kind of to give to people here as you see what you're doing and moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple. I mean, whether there's a broader message about entrepreneurship, and I think that, and, you know, I have a kind of a singular story. I think there's multiple ways, obviously, to kind of start something. But, you know, my story, as you can tell, it was just me trying to reach a need, and it was exciting for me when just a handful of my cousins were obviously benefiting from it. And that was enough. I was happy with just that small success. It was worth my time to build it then. And I think the lesson is, you know, whatever you do, hopefully there's some small subset of people who find it life-changing for them, maybe, or in some way very compelling. And then if you have that, then it makes it worthwhile for you to do it. And then you kind of don't care how long. I mean, there's a possibility that in 2004 I said, I'm going to start this online video platform, and I'm going to get venture funding and all of that. And I maybe would have written a business plan, worked at it for 6 months, and then if I didn't get traction, I would have given up. And because I kind of was happy with the small successes, I was able to pursue it for 5 years before I quit my job, and then even I was pumped about pursuing it afterwards. So it's one of these things where it was kind of one of this unkillable ventures, and that's, you know, I think that's one of those things that you know, make ventures succeed. There's a lot of things, a lot of ideas that people have, and the ideas kind of go up and it pitters out, and then it dies, and then 8 years later you see it actually becomes very successful. And so I think there's something to be said about maybe designing something so it has a staying power.
Before the call from Bill Gates, before all the clicks, when it was just with your family, what kept you motivated by doing this? Because yes, you quit a job, a good salary job. To do this.
Well, and, you know, at that point I did not quit, so I am a practical person there. But it was worth my time to do it. You know, I was still spending probably 15 hours a week with a day job doing this for my cousins, but it wasn't.
What was that leap of faith moment? Was there a point when you finally looked and said, you know what, I can do this, I want to do this? Yeah. What was that leap of faith moment?
Well, that became pretty clear in you know, 2007, 2008, when other people were watching it, and my cousins were, you know, Nadia, not to show off, but she ended up taking calculus her freshman year in high school, and we went from being, you know, a slow. So I mean, when you see that with just one student, you're like, this could be transformational, and so that by itself made it worthwhile. You start getting the letters from students, and then really, I had to wait until 2009 because, you know, the success of the site, you know, balanced off with our own financial risk is what that was the point where it just became hard for me to focus on anything else.
So when you talk about these cousins now, where are they, and are they kind of your role models here of?
Yeah, so I tell Nadia on a regular basis, you better be successful, because there's a lot riding on this. But she's now at Sarah Lawrence, and some of you DSC parents might cringe, but she's a writing major, but she's also pre-med.
Really?
And what I say is she's a writing major by choice, because she's actually a math rock star.
And pre-med by heritage.
And pre-med by heritage, exactly. Yeah.
As we wrap it up here, the next phone call from Bill Gates or whoever it is, when they ask you how you're doing, have you gotten better in these last few years? Because I would imagine you have with your tutorials. Do you look back on those first tutorials and you're like, oh gosh, how much better?
You know, I mean, some of the early ones, I was like, my cousins, they're not going to pay me. Like, and I literally answer a telemarketer call in one of those early videos. And I don't edit it out. It's just like, no, I don't want Dish Networks, and I hang up. You can edit that out. I don't want to get sued. Yeah, I mean, now, I mean, you know, Bill Gates is watching these videos. I feel like maybe it should be a little nicer and a little bit more thought out. But I think one of the things that captured people's imagination early on is that it does feel personal. It does feel like there's just this guy recording. It doesn't feel like this publishing company is doing these computer graphics and doing all of these, and, you know, the next step in photosynthesis is when the mitochondria. This feels like this very organic thing, and so I think we want to make it more nicer, easier to watch, more polished, but we don't want to make it too polished, I guess.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. There's that fine line now of bringing in the TV cameras, the earpieces, the makeup, and so forth. Are you flirting with that line yet, or is it still kind of
we always want to be organic. A guy at his kind of this screen capture board, or gal, explaining the concepts in real time, not with a script. You know, we might experiment with other things for other forms, for, you know, maybe history or literature, but for the most part it's going to be the same thing.
Okay, Sal, pleasure to spend some time with you this afternoon. I think I speak for the entire room. Good luck.